Blueface really logged onto the internet and detonated his entire family structure in front of a live audience. And baby, the fallout is uglier than anything we have ever seen from him. A newborn baby, not even 1 full week on this earth. A mother fresh out of the hospital, so fresh that her organs have not even slid back into position yet. And what does she walk home to? Not flowers, not a stocked kitchen, not a warm meal waiting on the counter. She walks home to an empty refrigerator, a man screaming about grocery stores, and a hot microphone that is about to betray him in front of thousands of people. And honey, that is only the first 5 minutes of this disaster. Because while Blueface was upstairs lecturing his newborn's mother about her healing timeline like her body is a construction project running behind schedule, his first baby mama Jaidyn Alexis was on her own live loading up the clip of the century. Foreclosure, bankruptcy, daily swatting, pawn jewelry, a mattress sitting flat on the floor with no bed frame, and text messages to lawyers that were allegedly sent from her personal phone. Then, as if the universe decided this night needed one more earthquake, that same livestream microphone accidentally caught Blueface downstairs, in the dark, whispering that he loves and misses the one woman both of these mothers cannot stand. Chrisean Rock's name is ringing through this entire situation like a doorbell that nobody in that house wants to answer. So charge your phone, silence your notifications, and sit all the way down, because this story has layers stacked on layers, and by the end of it you will understand exactly why every single woman in Blueface orbit is fighting for her dignity at the exact same time. Let us get straight into it, because baby, the tea is boiling over. Now, for anybody who somehow missed how we even got here, let me set the table. Blueface is out, he is home, and he has been playing musical chairs with his family situation ever since. On one side, you have Jaidyn Alexis, the mother of his 2 older children, Javon and Journey, the woman who held him down before the fame and allegedly during it. On the other side, you have Nevaeh, the newest mother in the picture, who just delivered his most recent baby and came home from the hospital expecting, at the bare minimum, a little peace. And hovering over all of it like a storm cloud that never quite leaves the county, you have Chrisean Rock, the on-again, off-again love of his public life, the mother of his son, and the woman whose name keeps slipping out of everybody's mouth at the worst possible moment. Now keep all 3 of those women in your mind, because every single one of them takes a hit in this story, and one of them lands the punch of the year. So the newest baby comes home, and you would think, a normal person would think, that a man would run to the store before the mother of his child gets discharged. You would think the fridge would be full, the diapers stacked, the house quiet and ready. But no, the cameras are rolling, and within hours of this woman crossing the doorstep with a newborn in her arms, Blueface is on live complaining that the refrigerator is empty and the pantry is bare. He is standing there asking her, a woman who literally just pushed a whole human being out of her body, why there is no food in the house. Sir, she was in a hospital bed 48 hours ago. Why was the grocery run not handled before she ever got home? Why is the man of the house standing in the kitchen with a microphone in his hand instead of a grocery list? And when she tries to explain that she just got back, that she was literally going to go to the store, he hits her with the coldest line of the night. He asks her if she really thinks her purpose is going to the grocery store. Her purpose. The woman just performed the most physically devastating thing a human body can do, and he is critiquing her purpose. I had to rewind that part 3 times, because the audacity genuinely broke my brain. And it gets worse, because then the conversation slides into postpartum. Now listen to this exchange, because it tells you everything about where his head is at. She is visibly drained. She is emotional. She is telling him her body has not recovered, and he starts asking her, on camera, how long postpartum lasts. Not out of concern. Not so he can support her better. He is asking because he wants a deadline. And when the chat tells him 24 hours, he runs with it like it came out of a medical journal. Meanwhile, the internet is watching this man laugh in the face of a woman who could very well be sliding into real postpartum depression, or worse, postpartum psychosis, and he is treating it like a scheduling inconvenience. People in the comments were begging somebody in that house to take the phone away from him, because it is not funny. And what makes it darker is that the woman is sitting there trying to laugh along, trying to keep the peace, because she knows the cameras are on and she knows exactly who she is dealing with. Now here is where I have to be real with y'all, because some of y'all are already typing that she knew what she signed up for. And look, the streets have been saying that from day one. People warned Nevaeh. Everybody knew Blueface's track record before that baby was even a thought. There is a whole conversation online about how she allegedly ordered a DNA test faster than Amazon Prime delivers, which tells you that even in her own mind, the doubt was already there. And trust me, we're going to talk about that DNA test and what it really means later, because that little detail circles back around in a way you are not expecting. But regardless of what she signed up for, there is a difference between accepting a man's chaos and being berated on livestream while your stitches are still fresh. One is a choice. The other is a humiliation ritual broadcast to the world. Because the argument does not stop at the refrigerator. Oh no, Blueface keeps going. He starts breaking down her whole performance as a mother like he is reviewing a disappointing employee. She holds the baby too much. She will not put the baby down. She is creating bad habits. Now, in fairness, there is a real parenting conversation buried in there somewhere about not spoiling a newborn with constant contact. But that is not a conversation you have with cameras rolling. And it is definitely not a conversation you have by calling the mother of your week-old child slow, strange, and a bird. He told this woman her brain has nothing going on inside it. He said it is just birds flying around and chirping in her head. On live, days after she gave birth to his son, and she is standing there taking it, deflecting it, trying to joke her way out of it, because what else can she do in that moment? And then comes the part that had the whole internet clutching their chests. The pacifier war. Blueface discovers there is no pacifier in rotation for the baby, and he loses his mind. He is going on and on about how she bought pacifiers and will not use them, how she wants the baby dependent on her, how she is building some kind of codependent trap to keep him tied to the house. And look at the psychology of what he is doing there, because it is sinister when you slow it down. He is framing a breastfeeding mother bonding with her newborn as a scheme against him. Everything she does as a mother gets reframed as a strategy. She holds the baby, it is a strategy. She feeds the baby, it is a strategy. She asks for help, it is a strategy. That is not a partnership, that is an interrogation. And the cherry on top of that whole deranged Sunday is the moment Blueface, a grown man, looks at that baby with a pacifier and says, and I quote the spirit of it, that he should have been the mama. Sir, you cannot even stock a refrigerator. The bar is on the floor, and you are tripping over it. But wait, because we have not even gotten to the moment that turned a bad night into a full-blown catastrophe. At some point during this marathon livestream, Blueface heads downstairs. And either he forgot, or he did not care, but that microphone stayed hot. And through that microphone, the entire audience hears him on the phone. And who is he talking to? Chrisean. And what is he saying to Chrisean? In the dark, downstairs, while the mother of his newborn sits upstairs recovering from childbirth. He is telling Chrisean that he loves her. He is telling Chrisean that he misses her. He is asking her how she slept. On the same live where he just spent an hour tearing down Nevaeh for being tired. Now, I need y'all to sit with the layers of betrayal in that scene. He will not let Nevaeh rest because the fridge is empty, but he has all the tenderness in the world for Chrisean at midnight. And when he strolls back upstairs and the conversation mysteriously shifts, when Nevaeh mentions that somebody needs to love somebody and she plans on waiting until she can talk to somebody else, you can hear the hurt vibrating under every word. She heard it. The whole house heard it. And the internet definitely heard it, because within minutes, clips of that hot mic moment were everywhere. And y'all, the mask slipped even further when Nevaeh, in the middle of one of their exchanges, threw out a shot that was aimed at absolutely nobody in that room. She said that he probably would have been the type to smoke and drink during a pregnancy. Now, she did not say a name. She did not have to, because everybody watching knew exactly whose name was written all over that sentence. And the proof that it landed is that Blueface knew immediately who she was talking about. He did not ask for clarification. He did not look confused. He jumped straight to telling her she was bringing up another woman. The guilty conscience introduced itself before anybody else could. And just like that, Chrisean Rock became the ghost haunting every single argument in that house without saying one public word. Mark that, because Chrisean's silence right now is louder than most people's diss tracks. And we're going to come back to exactly why her quiet is the most dangerous thing in this whole equation. Now, while all of this is unfolding on Blueface Live, on the other side of the internet, Jaidyn Alexis decided that enough was enough. And baby, when I tell you Jaidyn clocked in for the shift of her life, I mean she arrived at work early, stayed late, and left no survivors. Because it all traces back to one unforgivable sentence. Blueface had been floating this idea that he was moving on from his older kids, tossing Javon and Journey to the side, telling the world he was going to make new kids. Replaceable. He framed his own children as replaceable. And when Jaidyn Alexis heard that word come out of his mouth, something in her snapped in the most spectacular way possible. She got on live and she announced that everybody needed to clock in because she was tired of it. And from that moment on, it was not an argument. It was an execution. Jaidyn started with the money, because nothing humbles a loud man faster than his own paperwork. She pointed out that Blueface has been talking about this brand new house since the day he got out. Almost a year of talking. New house this, moving soon that, posting his streaming income like he is untouchable. And Jaidyn asked the question that the whole internet had been too polite to ask. Where's the house? Where is it? Because according to Jaidyn, the house he is in foreclosure. Foreclosure. The man is allegedly getting swatted at that house on a regular basis. The mortgage situation is allegedly collapsing, and he is on live performing wealth for strangers. And then Jaidyn dropped the detail that turned this from gossip into documentation. She said Blueface used her phone, her personal phone, to text lawyers about foreclosure and bankruptcy. He allegedly sat there asking what they needed to do about the bankruptcy, and the messages lived on her device. This is not monopoly money, she said, this is real life. And the way the timeline erupted when she said that, you would have thought a verdict had been read. And she was nowhere near done, because then Jaidyn got personal, and honestly, who can blame her? She reminded everybody what she has actually endured in that relationship. She said she is not the kind of woman who is going to let a man kick her in the back while she is pregnant, kick her kid, disrespect her children publicly, and then come back like nothing happened. And when she said that, everybody's head turned in the same direction, because that was not just about Nevaeh. That was about a pattern that Chrisean Rock lived through in public, that Nevaeh is living through right now, and that Jaidyn is saying she survived first. 3 different women, 3 different seasons of this man's life, and the allegations all rhyme. That is the part of this story that should genuinely disturb people, because once you line the timelines up, it stops looking like drama and starts looking like a system. Then Jaidyn went for the jugular with the receipts of everyday life. She said Blueface wears the same clothes for days on end. She said his jewelry is sitting in a pawn shop somewhere. And then she delivered the line that is going to live on the internet forever. She told him to go get a bed frame and then come talk to her. A bed frame. Because according to Jaidyn, this man's mattress is sitting flat on the floor, and you cannot even hide money in your bed when your bed is on the ground. I have seen a lot of reads in my day, but there is something so surgical about telling a man his whole financial empire cannot survive a furniture inspection. And she backed it up with history. She said this man has never held down one roof past half a year, while she has been stable in her spot going on 3 years. She said his children are not replaceable, they are priceless, and she would die about hers. And then she said the words that made every mother watching stand up in their living room. I wish you would come try me. Not pregnant, not postpartum, not recovering, just ready. She said when she drops her next project, bullets and shells are going to be flying, and baby, I believe her. But rewind with me for a second, because before Jaidyn ever said the word foreclosure, before the hot mic betrayed anybody, the internet had already been handed the preview of this collapse in the pettiest way imaginable. The grocery store argument. I need to go back to it, because it is the Rosetta Stone of this entire relationship. Blueface asked Nevaeh what she did that day for the house, and her answer was that she woke up and ordered them food. Ordered food. And he mocked her for it. He repeated it back to her with disgust, like ordering food for the household was some kind of moral failure. Now let me translate what actually happened in that exchange, because the details matter. A woman who is less than a week postpartum woke up, in pain, in a house with no groceries, and instead of doing nothing, she made sure everybody ate. That was her contribution while her body is literally still reorganizing its internal organs. And his response was to use it against her as evidence of laziness. He told her the refrigerator being empty was disrespect. She told him she was about to go handle it. And he said the quiet part with his whole chest, that she was never going to go, that she never goes, that she was not thinking about him at all. Y'all, she had been home from the hospital for barely a day. What exactly was the timeline he was expecting? And this is where the gender of this whole performance becomes impossible to ignore, because listen to what he demanded from her versus what he offered. He wanted the house cleaned, the food cooked, the baby handled, the schedule organized, and her body healed on a deadline he could hold her to. His words. He asked her how long a full recovery takes before she can be, quote, the best girl that she can be, and then he told her he would wait only if she gave him a date. A date. For her uterus. And when she tried to explain that her organs are not even back in place, that she is weak, that she is still finding ways to get up and move and do little things as she goes, he told her about people with no legs who are still out here boxing. He literally compared his postpartum baby mama to amputee athletes to prove she was not moving fast enough. I had to pause the footage there, because that is not motivation, that is humiliation dressed up in a gym outfit. And she still did not explode. She kept saying, calmly, that she is not being lazy, that she is getting up and doing it as she goes. The restraint that woman showed on that live is honestly the most impressive thing in this entire saga. And let me talk about the shower exchange, because that one revealed the entire trap. Nevaeh said she needs somebody to hold the baby while she showers, because if she puts him down he cries, and she cannot relax in the shower not knowing what is happening with him. That is not dysfunction, y'all. That is a newborn mother with normal instincts. But Blueface turned it into an accusation. He said she is starting a way of living she cannot keep up with. He said if she puts the baby down, he has to pick him up, and when he puts the baby down, she has to pick him up, and that is not how this works. Then he accused her of enabling a 4-day-old. Enabling a 4-day-old, like the baby is running a con. And the internet's grandmothers collectively stood up at that moment, because everybody who has ever raised a child knows that the first weeks are nothing but holding, feeding, and surviving. There is no spoiling a newborn. There is only a man who does not want his routine interrupted by the reality of an infant. And here is the part that made the whole chat go silent. In the middle of lecturing her about agendas and organization, Blueface said he wishes she would pump milk, have bottles frozen, have systems in place, and then he said the name out loud. He said somebody like Jaidyn. He held up Jaidyn Alexis as the template of what a mother and partner should be, to the face of the woman who just had his baby. The same Jaidyn he discarded. The same Jaidyn whose kids he called replaceable. Do y'all understand the psychological whiplash these women are being put through? When Jaidyn was in the house, she was not enough. Now that Nevaeh is in the house, Jaidyn is the unreachable standard. And somewhere out there, Chrisean Rock is watching both of them get measured against each other while she receives "I love you" calls in the dark. He has built a machine where no woman can ever win, because the moment one of them gets close, he moves the finish line and points at another one. That is not a love triangle. That is a carousel, and every rider is dizzy except the man operating it. Now, about Nevaeh's warning to the world, because she did give one, and it backfired in the most ironic way. She said on camera that nobody should even consider making a baby with this man. And the chat immediately asked her the obvious question. If that is the advice, why did she have a kid with him? And her answer was by choice, by free will. And look, I'm not going to pile onto a postpartum woman. That is not what we do here. But that exchange is exactly why this story has such a chokehold on the timeline. Because it is not a story about one villain and one victim. It is a story about a machine that keeps producing the same outcome with different women, and every single one of them believed she would be the exception. Jaidyn believed it. Chrisean believed it with a whole marriage storyline and matching energy. Nevaeh believed it. And the only person who has never once been surprised by the outcome is Blueface himself, because he designed it. He even admitted on this same live that this is the same man they met 5 years ago, that the only person changing is them. He said it. He confessed the entire playbook on camera, and nobody has been able to do anything with the confession. And then there is the detail that has the conspiracy side of the internet foaming at the mouth. The altar. Multiple people who have seen inside that house, in streams and in footage, have pointed out that there is an altar still set up in that home. Now I am not in the business of accusing anybody of anything spiritual, because I cannot verify what is on that altar or what it is for. But what I can tell you is that the women around this man keep getting accused of doing things to keep him, and by every measurable metric, nothing is working, because he is not kept, he is not settled, and by the unanimous verdict of Jaidyn, Nevaeh, and the entire viewing public, he is worse than he has ever been. So if somebody is lighting candles in that house, they need a refund. And that is not me being funny. Well, it is a little bit me being funny, but it is also the logical end of every rumor floating around this situation. The man is ungovernable, and no ritual, no baby, no house, and no ring has ever changed that. And honestly, that realization is the thread that connects every woman in this story, because each of them, at some point, thought she had found the thing that would finally settle him down. A first child, a marriage, a new baby, a fresh start after lockup. And every single time, the mask came back off within months, sometimes within days, and the same chaos resumed like it never paused. And here is the twist that sent this whole saga into orbit. When the smoke from Jaidyn's rampage drifted back over to Blueface livestream, you would expect denial. You would expect rage. But instead, Blueface said something that low-key confirmed everything Jaidyn had been screaming. He told Nevaeh, on camera, that Jaidyn set the bar too high. That Jaidyn spoiled him. That Jaidyn was the one cooking, cleaning, organizing, keeping schedules, running the whole household like a machine, and that Nevaeh simply does not measure up to that standard. Now hold on. Hold all the way on. Did this man not just spend months publicly discarding Jaidyn, calling her kids replaceable, parading new women around? And now that the new situation is not producing warm meals and folded laundry on command, suddenly Jaidyn is the gold standard? The whiplash is medical. And the craziest part is that he does not even hear himself. He is sitting there comparing the mother of his newborn to the woman he spent a year humiliating, in front of thousands of people, like he is reviewing appliances. And Nevaeh is just standing there, postpartum, absorbing a performance review measured against his ex. The disrespect is so layered you could serve it at a wedding. And then Blueface did what Blueface always does when the walls close in. He went into philosopher mode. He started telling the chat that comfort destroys people. That when you are broke, you have drive, willpower, instinct. That when you finally get the house, the car, the money, you lose yourself, because everything you thought would make you happy is sitting in your driveway, and you are still miserable. He said money cannot buy happiness, that you can have every resource in the world and still go to sleep crying every night. And look, I am not going to sit here and pretend the man did not stumble into a real thought, because that part is true. But do y'all see what he is doing? He is using philosophy to reframe his own dysfunction as wisdom. He is diagnosing Nevaeh with having too much comfort while she is holding a newborn in a house with an empty fridge. Make it make sense. She cannot even get groceries, but she is supposed to be suffering from the burden of abundance? The gaslighting has a gaslight. Then came the role reversal offer, which might be the most telling moment of the entire live. Blueface asked Nevaeh if she would like to switch places. He would stay home, cook, clean, handle the baby. She could go out and handle the business. And listen to how he described her side of the deal, because he did not even notice what he admitted. He said she could go do the studio, do the streams, go to the restaurant. And then he said it. Pick up, drop off, pick up, drop off. Sir, what exactly is being picked up and dropped off? Because the internet heard that and immediately started doing math that I am not going to complete out loud, but just know the comment sections turned into a crime board with red string. And in the same breath, he basically described using the women in his life as content engines for his streaming income, going live with them, farming the drama, cashing the checks. Jaidyn heard that too, by the way. They all heard it. He keeps handing these women ammunition and then acting shocked when the firing squad assembles. And the finale of his performance was the threat disguised as a life plan. Blueface told his audience that he does not even know if Nevaeh is moving into the new house anymore. The house that Jaidyn says does not exist because the current one is in foreclosure. He said maybe he will just move in alone and be a bachelor, and she can stay behind with the kids. Picture the audacity of that sentence. A woman 4 days removed from childbirth, being informed on a public live stream that her housing situation is under review because she is not matching the moment. Not matching the moment. She grew an entire human and evicted him from her body less than a week ago. What moment exactly is she failing to match? And this, right here, is why the internet has stopped laughing at the Nevaeh situation and started genuinely worrying about it. Because the pattern is no longer subtle. Chrisean lived it. Jaidyn lived it. Now Nevaeh is living it in real time with a fresh C-section of a situation and nowhere near enough support. Now, Remember that DNA test I told you to keep in your back pocket? Here is where it circles back. Because the streets have been studying every frame of this baby footage like it is a championship game, and the conversation about who that baby resembles has gotten loud. There are people swearing they see Blueface all over that child's face. There are others pointing out that Nevaeh ordered that test at lightning speed for a reason. And layered on top of the paternity chatter is the other rumor that refuses to die, the one about the altar that is allegedly still set up in that house. Now, I am not saying anybody is doing anything supernatural. What I am saying is that whatever energy work is happening in that household, it is not working because by his own admission and everybody else's observation, Blueface has not changed. If anything, he is worse. And that might be the most damning sentence in this whole story, because it did not come from an enemy. It came from the pattern. So where does this leave everybody? Chrisean Rock is somewhere quiet, loved and missed on a hot mic, holding a son and a whole archive of shared history that could set this situation completely on fire if she ever decides to speak. Jaidyn Alexis is standing on the mountain with receipts about foreclosure, bankruptcy, pawned jewelry, and floor mattresses, promising that when she drops, it is going to be a war zone. Nevaeh is in a house with a newborn, a man comparing her to his ex on camera, and a moving date that apparently no longer includes her. And Blueface is in the middle of it all, lecturing the world about happiness while his family structure collapses around him in high definition. And here is the question I need every single one of you to answer in the comments, because the debate is splitting the entire internet in half. Was Jaidyn justified in going that nuclear? Or did she cross a line airing the foreclosure and bankruptcy business? Is Nevaeh a victim of a pattern she could not have seen? Or did she ignore a warning sign that was the size of a billboard? And the big one, when Chrisean finally breaks her silence, and we all know she will, whose side of this story do you think she is going to burn down first? Drop your predictions below, because the wildest chapter of this saga has not even been written yet, and when it drops, you already know I am going to be right here breaking down every single second of it. Stay tapped in, because this is far from over. Now let me zoom out and talk about the part of this story that almost nobody is saying out loud, because it is the part that actually matters. Strip away the jokes, strip away the memes, strip away the circus music, and what you are left with is children. Javon and Journey just heard their father tell the world they are replaceable. Let that sentence breathe for a second. Whatever you think about Jaidyn, whatever you think about Nevaeh, whatever you think about Chrisean, those two kids did not choose any of this, and they are now old enough, or will be soon enough, to find the clip of their dad explaining that he is going to make new kids like the old ones were a discontinued product line. And then there is the newborn, 4 days old at the time of that live stream, whose first week of life was broadcast as content, whose parents' screaming match over a refrigerator is now permanently archived on the internet, and whose paternity is being debated by strangers in comment sections. And then there is Chrisean's son, growing up in the middle of a saga where his father's love is measured in midnight phone calls on leaked audio. 3 households. 4 children. 1 man treating fatherhood like a content strategy. And the algorithm is eating every second of it, which means we are all, in some small way, paying for the privilege of watching these kids' childhoods get monetized in real time. And that is why Jaidyn's explosion hit different from the usual internet rant. People forget that before the music, before the streams, before the new houses that never materialize, Jaidyn Alexis was the foundation. She was there before the fame. She held the house down while he was away. She raised those 2 kids through every version of the chaos. And she built the exact standard that he now uses as a measuring stick against every woman who came after her. And her reward for that was hearing him tell the world her children were replaceable. So when she got on that live and said clock in, she was not performing for views. That was a mother who reached the end of a very long rope. And the forensic detail in her rant is what makes it credible, because liars speak in generalities and people telling the truth speak in specifics. She did not say he is broke. She said the house is in foreclosure, the jewelry is in a pawn shop, the mattress is on the floor, he cannot hold one address down past half a year, and the lawyer texts about bankruptcy are on her phone. Those are checkable claims. That is a woman who is not bluffing. That is a woman holding a folder. And notice what Blueface did not do in response. He did not deny the foreclosure. He did not deny the bankruptcy texts. He did not deny the pawn shop or the mattress. His response to the most devastating financial expose of his career was to go on his own livestream and tell Nevaeh that Jaidyn set the bar too high. He confirmed the hierarchy while trying to dodge the paperwork. That is the oldest trick in the book, and the fact that he is still running it in 2026 tells you it has worked on every audience before this one. But this audience is different. This audience has receipts culture, pause and zoom culture, clip everything culture. Within hours of Jaidyn's rant, there were threads mapping his addresses, screenshots of the house footage, timelines of the new house promise stretching back almost a year. The internet did the due diligence that nobody in his inner circle was willing to do, and the verdict landed before he ever responded. And through all of this, the silent elephant in the room remains Chrisean Rock. Because think about what her position actually is right now. She is the only woman in this saga who currently holds proof of where his heart goes when the cameras are not supposed to be on. She did not have to say a word. He said it for her, on a hot mic, in his own house, with his newborn's mother upstairs. And the history between Blueface and Chrisean is its own encyclopedia of chaos. The fights, the arrests, the reconciliations, the baby, the vows, the breakups, the makeups. Every time the world declares that chapter closed, it reopens. And now here we are again, with him whispering that he loves her and misses her while his life publicly burns. If Chrisean ever decides to tell her full side of this current chapter, with dates and screenshots and everything she has witnessed from the inside, the internet will not survive it. And based on the laws of this universe, that day is coming. It always comes. So let me give y'all my honest read on where this goes next, because y'all know I do not leave without a prediction. First, Nevaeh's situation is the one to watch with genuine concern, because a woman that fresh postpartum, under that much public pressure, in a house that hostile, needs family around her, real family, the mama and aunties and grandmama who show up and take over the kitchen and the baby and the peace. Whether she has that support system or not, we do not know, but the internet saw enough to be worried. Second, Jaidyn is not done. When someone tells you the bullets start flying when their project drops, believe them. And her next move is going to be even more surgical than this one, because she has clearly been collecting documentation for a long time. Third, the new house is the smoking gun to keep your eye on, because if Jaidyn is right and the current one is in foreclosure, then every new house promise from here forward is just a prop, and eventually the paperwork always becomes public. And fourth, the name to keep in your prayers and your notifications is Chrisean Rock, because silence from her has never once been permanent, and the moment she speaks, this whole chessboard flips. And one more thing before I get out of here, because I want to hear from every corner of the comment section on this one. Some people are saying this is all just entertainment, just another week in the Blueface extended universe, just cloud arithmetic where every argument adds a zero to somebody's streaming check. And maybe that is true. Maybe the fridge argument and the pacifier war and the midnight phone call are all just episodes in a show that these people knowingly produce for our consumption. But here's what I keep coming back to. The babies are not actors. Javon and Journey are not actors. A 4-day-old is not a prop. So even if the adults are in on the joke, the punchline is landing on children who never auditioned for any of this. And that is the line where my laughter stops and my concern starts, and I do not think I am alone in that. Y'all tell me, is this still entertainment when the collateral damage has a pacifier? Is Jaidyn a hero for finally saying it all, or did she make it worse by saying it on live? Should Nevaeh pack up and leave tonight? Or is leaving even realistic when you just had a baby and the house situation is what it is? And what is Chrisean thinking right now, watching all of this unfold while her name echoes through a house